I hope everybody is doing well. So I am going to just do one of each of these problems with the law of sines to find either missing sides or missing angles. Okay, so this here is the formula, right, for law of sines. Okay, this is in order to find missing sides and angles for any triangle. So before this we were doing right triangles where we know we could do Pythagorean theorem or certain trigonometry, right? But this is for any triangle, so it doesn't have to be a right triangle. And this is the formula here. It's matching any angle with their opposite side. So the side, usually the angles A, B, C here are noted with capital letters, right? And then the small letters are for the sides right across. So this would be the sine of angle A, and then the side right across from it would be little a. All right, and this would be angle B, and then the side right across would be little b. And this would be angle C, and then the side right across would be little c, okay? But sometimes it depends. Sometimes you'll have an X there. Sometimes they'll say, what is the length of BC, right? Which means this. But you'll just have to know that it matches up with, the angle matches up with the side right across, okay? So this is the example they did here. Find the missing side X. So they want you to find this side here, right? Okay, this would be like little c, right across on this angle. So you don't need to put all three of them, but you could just pick any of the two ratios, okay? So you got to work with what you have here. So here they have the sine of 19 degrees over 16 is equivalent to the sine of 40 degrees over x, right? You have to put the x in there because that's what you want to solve for. And yes, make sure you're in degree mode, right? Because we're talking degrees here. And then that's it. It's basically just regular algebra stuff, okay? So they evaluated the sine of 19 degrees in the calculator is 0.326 if you round it over 16 equals the sine of 40 degrees in a calculator is this decimal here over x, right? And then remember cross multiplying, right? So 0.326x equals 10.288, so that's 16 times 0.643. That's where they get this from, right? I'm cross multiplying, so I have this times x equals this times this, okay? And then to solve for x, I divide both sides, right, by 0.326, and that's how you get x is 31.56 centimeters. So that would be the length of this leg here. All right, so I'm going to do this problem for you just to make sure we are all on the same page. Now, this had solve each triangle. A couple of people were asking me, do I have to find all the legs or all the angles? So whenever you see solve the triangle, that means everything that's missing needs to be solved for, okay? So this is easy right here. This is 29 degrees. This is 50 degrees. You could just use, just what you know about geometry, right? A triangle has 180 degrees. So if I add these two together, that's 79. And then if I subtract from 180, that means 101 degrees. So I have the triangle right here. This has to be 101 degrees, right? So I don't even need to do any law of sines for that. I mean, you could, but we don't need to, right? So, all right, now I want to find the other missing sides, okay? They don't even have letters here, but you know that you're going to have the sine. Let's do this one. So I have the sine 29 degrees over the leg that's right across, right? 26 equals, and now which leg you want to find first? Let's find this leg. Okay, why don't we call this x? Okay, the sine of 50 degrees, okay, over x, right? The leg directly across. All right, so I'm going to figure that out. So I'm going to have the sine of 29 degrees. You could make the decimals here first, or you could make the decimals later. I don't know. I feel like I'd rather make the decimals later. So I'm going to cross multiply. So I have x times the sine of 29 degrees, right, equals 26 times the sine of 50 degrees, right? And then I have to solve for x, right? So what I would divide both sides by the sine of 29 degrees, right? All right, so this would cancel. So I have x equals whatever this is. I'm going to just pop that in my calculator. I have my calculator right here. All right, so let me clear that out. So let's do 26 times the sine of 50 degrees. I actually got to check to make sure I'm in degrees. Let me check. Remember, you press the mode button here. And yes, I am in degrees, so I'm good. Okay, so enter. So I have, notice I put it in parentheses, 26 times the sine of 50 degrees divided by the sine of 29 degrees, and enter. Okay, so I just put this in my calculator. If you prefer to do it, so let me just write this down, 41. So it's about 41. Does it say to round? It doesn't say to round. We'll just round to about 41. Okay, so that means this leg right here is about 41. All right, so if you prefer to get the decimals first, like they did it here, see how they made them into decimals first? I don't know, you guys like that better? What do you think? Either way. All right, so now I'm not done because now I need to find this leg. I don't know, let's call this y. Okay, so again, now you know now you have a lot more information. You can pretty much use anything, any ratio you want. I'll stick with the same one. So I have the sine of 29 degrees over 26, right? This over this equals, now I want to solve for this one, so I have to use this angle, right? I'm not going to use this one because I want to solve for this. So the sine of 101 degrees over y. And then you're going to do the same thing. Why don't I do it using the decimal this time? Just in case anybody would rather see that. So let's see, the sine of 29 degrees, I'm going to round to about 0.485. So that's 0.485 over 26 equals, let's see, the sine of 101 degrees. Oops. The sine of 101 degrees is about 0.982. So 0.982 over y. Okay. And then we're just going to have to solve, right? So I have 0.485y equals, what's this? 26 times 0.982. I don't have all these crazy buttons pressed. What did I do? So I'm going to do 26 times 0.982. $25.61. Okay, and then I gotta, to solve for y, I'm gonna divide both sides by 0.485. So I'm gonna take this here. Let's see, this calculator's old. It does it good. 0.485, and I'm gonna get about 52.8. All right, so that means this leg here is about 53, right? If we're rounding, we could round to a whole number. Okay, so I don't know. I feel like making a decimal is more work than just doing it this way, but whatever you like. All right, so that's how you would solve for the leg. And then the angle one, so let's go down to number 6. So here's the, here was the example that they gave you, okay? Let me see, I don't want to be blurry here. All right, so they have to find this missing angle, x, right? So they have the sine of x over 36 equals the sine of 75 over 50, okay? And then they evaluated this. So they have sine of x over 36 equals, they evaluated sine of 75 degrees is 0.966 over 50. And then again, we cross multiply, right? So you have 50 times the sine of x degrees equals 36 times 0.966 is this decimal here, right? And then to get sine of x degrees alone, you have to divide both sides by 50, right? So that's how you get this. And now here, remember, whenever you're looking for an angle, that's when you have to do inverses. What angle, right? The sine of what degree gives me this. So they even put it here. Use inverse sine in your calculator. So you have to put, let me pull it up here. If you forgot, the inverse is right here above, right? So I will put, let me clear this out. I got a lot of stuff going on here. Inverse sine, right? See, it looks like a little -1. And what was it? 6, 9, 5, 3, 2. Enter. And it gives you about 44 degrees, which is what we had right here in the example. But that's how they got that. You have to do the inverse. Okay, what angle gives you that sign? Okay, the angle of what degrees? So anytime you're looking for a missing angle, that's when you're going to do inverse. Okay, so for number 6, I wanted to solve this triangle, right? So I can't just do subtraction here because I don't know, I only have one angle, right? So I don't know, I got some work to do. What should we find first? How about we find one of the legs? Okay, why don't we find, let's do this. Sorry, I was reading something. So why don't we do the sine of 63 degrees, right, over this one right across, right, 44 equals, now we have this leg, but I don't have this angle, so why don't we solve for this angle, right? The sine of, I don't know, let's call it x degrees, right? We don't know what this degree is, we'll call it x. Okay, x degrees. Over 40. So we're going to find the missing angle. I don't know, did I say leg before? So sine of 63 degrees over 44 equals the sine of whatever this degree is over 40. Okay, so now I'm going to do my cross multiply, right? So I have, I'm going to not change this into a decimal. I'm going to cross multiply. So I got 40, right, times the sine of 63 degrees equals, and I'm going to cross multiply this way, right, 44 times the sine of x degrees, right? If it helps, if you like to see it like that in parentheses, you could put in parentheses, right? And now I know I need to get this by itself, right, because I need to solve for x. So I'll divide both sides by 44, right? So I have here on this side the sine of x degrees, right, equals, right, this will cancel, sorry. Sorry, it's hard to hold this phone and write at the same time. Okay, so now I'm going to put this in my calculator and I'm going to get a decimal, so let me pull out my calculator here. So what do I have? Let's do parentheses. 40 times the sine of 63 degrees divided by 44 equals about 0.81. So this here is about 0.81. And again, if you want to evaluate this first and then divide, that's fine. So now I need to find what angle. The angle, the sine of what degrees gives me that. That's why we got to do inverse. So we got to do the inverse, the sine inverse for 0.81. All right. So again, I'm going to do second. I'm going to press my sine button and I'll get the little inverse, 0.81, and enter. And it's about 54.1. We'll just round to, that is about 50, what did I say? 54 or 51? 54 degrees. So I know that this here is about 54 degrees, right? I can get rid of that. Now to find this angle, now I could just subtract, right? I could add 54 and 63, right? 54 plus 63 is 117, and then you could subtract 180 minus 117, right? And that means it's going to be, this is going to be 63 degrees. Okay. Sorry, hold on 1 second. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm looking, the video's getting up to 15 minutes, and when it gets too long, it takes forever to download, so, to upload. All right, so then you can just use, to solve the rest of the triangle, you would just use law of sines and continue going. I'm not going to do the other side, But I could see here that if this is 63 degrees, right? And this is 63 degrees, right? That means we have an isosceles triangle here, don't we? So this is going to be the same. This is also going to be 44. All right? But if it weren't, you could just do another ratio of law of sines and find the missing leg. All right, guys, have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope this helps. We are now moving into also law of cosines. So we're going to be working with law of sines and law of cosines. But I'm not going to rush, into it. We're going to just do law of cosines first, and we're just going to practice, probably do some word problems and such. All right, take care. Bye.